with the Capital Film Arts Alliance. Our CFAA Film Talk webcast is up and running. We've got a couple of guests tonight that you are going to be very familiar with, and you're going to enjoy getting to know them a little bit better. The whole purpose of what we're doing here is to keep everybody connected, to find ways to really understand who's in our creative community, what kind of jobs are happening, what kind of growth can we look forward to. There's so much happening in the Sacramento region in Northern California. The two people we have coming tonight are exemplary of some of the efforts that are being made by people who are real true film champions here. So one of the things that was supposed to happen today, I apologize in advance if any of you were looking for that preview of or the first release of BALLBUSTER. They ended up pushing back the release until August 11th. So unfortunately, we didn't get to give you a chance to see the show, but we're going to get some clips and some conversation that are going to help you know a little bit more about what that has, what that's going to bring. I just in the trailer and what clips I've seen, I can't wait for this one. I think that it's going to be hilarious, and we're going to all be, again, very proud of this. So the CFAA, if you don't know, nonprofit, we're a film organization that is run by specifically filmmakers and writers and actors and people that are on crew and that edit. All of our board runs the organization because we care about growing the film industry here. And that's all of our efforts in putting out this webcast, is to keep everyone connected during the COVID. So with that said, you can go to our website, which is capitalfilmarts.org. You can learn a lot more about the organization, what we have coming up. And for now, I want to introduce you to two amazing people. One of my best film friends, and she just has my heart and always has, is Sally Forcier.
Aww.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Lori. How's it going, honey?
I'm excellent. I'm great. I'm so glad to see you. I wish it was in person.
I know. It's everybody.
It is in person. I just can't touch you. So that's probably okay. So Sally, if you don't know, she is the owner operator of Forcier Casting. She is dividing her time equally into producing and starting to take on a lot more projects that are going to keep that creative business side of hers steaming. This is the third film that she's actually produced with our key guest, which is going to be coming up in a second. That's Mark S. Allen. I know that's a name nobody's familiar with, so
right.
I want to, be able to tell you who he is, and maybe you'll want to follow him or check out some of the things that he's doing. He's pretty cool. So let's get Mark online, and look at that.
There he is. Hey, buddy.
What's going on? I got to be honest. I was a little jealous because, Lori, when you were doing the intros, you said one of my best buds in the whole world. I was hoping I was going to be that guy. I know we don't know each other that well, but I thought for once I'd be that guy.
Well, you're one of my best buds. Does that help?
You too. Yes.
Right.
Thank you, Sally.
Well, we haven't produced a film together, Mark, so that might be something we need to work on. And then, we can both achieve that level.
We'll bring you into the circle.
Yes. I have produced in this area for a very long time. And then I went into distribution. And I really found that my greatest success and my greatest joy comes from helping other people succeed. So every time we do something through the CFAA that allows me to connect with people, and I learn that they made a connection through our organization, they met somebody, they found the right key, the right equipment, the right resource. That's what is my jam. That totally makes me happy. And your success is, exemplary in regards to what you've been able to do in producing several projects in very short order. And I want to know a lot more about that. But the whole purpose of having Sally here is because she knows you and she knows all the dirt. So she's going to share all of that.
You signed things. Don't tell.
Oh, so much pressure.
Yeah. No, we were hoping to see Ballbuster today, and unfortunately didn't get a chance to do that.
I know, what the hell? Why the hell? Why are we here right now?
Dude, I tried. I was like, where is it? Where is it going to come up? And then
let's address that elephant in the room. For years, and I think, Sally, you've had some of these discussions, and Howard Bird, my producing partner, tried to warn me of this early on. But like for years, I would go, hey, Carnahan, why didn't they show an A-Team trailer at the Super Bowl? What happened? I thought they were going to show the trailer at the Super Bowl. What happened? And things didn't happen. And they've long said it's like giving your kids up for adoption. Once you give your movie over to a distributor, it's out of your hand. You're lucky to know when, where, or how, or anything. And don't get us started about those checks when they're supposed to come in. But yeah, we were told August 4th. We were all so proud that it was going to be August 4th. And sure enough, then this morning we got this message. My phone was blowing up from East Coasters by 3 a.m. saying, hey, we're not seeing it. And so finally I got the distributor who said, we didn't tell you. Lionsgate decided to push it by a week because of activity. And also, reading between the lines, a lot of it's because Jerry O'Connell's blowing up. He has the #1 streaming movie right now. And for them, I think they want to ride the tail of that rather than the apex.
Yeah, that makes sense. What movie is he in right now that's streaming?
I don't know. No, it's called The Secret, Dare to Dream. It's based on a New York Times best-selling book. It's actually a trilogy that's been combined down into one book, and he's in that right now. Right now, he's camping in Yosemite and in that movie.
Oh. I can't wait to see that movie myself. And I get it. It does make sense if you think about it. You don't want his movie to conflict one another. You want it to complement. And so that makes total sense. But yeah, I too was anxious to know it was released, but glad that they're it seems like they have our back. So that's cool, right?
It puts you in a sticky situation, and it pulled out some hairs and wondering what the heck's going on. Did I miss an email? And it was just the laissez-faire of them saying, oh, did we forget to tell you about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You should have just let them know that you had something specifically planned with the CFAA, and they would have totally dropped that.
I should have. I didn't. That's where the problem is.
There's often confusion there. So
August 11th, Ballbuster everywhere.
August 11th, and we will
have 1 week notice. So that way people can be all part of this excitement, because it really is exciting. Counting down the days. It's so thrilling.
Yeah, that's right. If it was out right now, I would hope they'd hang up on this and just go watch the movie. Well, now you can't.
We would lose our viewership.
Shut your mouth.
Joe, I'm joking.
Yeah. No, I'm so proud of both of you. And I knew you both before you were making movies. I knew you both when I think, Mark, the last time that we were physically together in a social environment was just when we filmed Stretch at the Roseville Theater. And I love how when you talk about what people say to you about Carnahan, you adopt Carnahan's voice.
Because
that's how he talks.
I know Joe and Sally know each other really well. Chris, Joe, and I did a lot of palling around back in the day. Yeah. And he's, to this day, one of my dearest friends. He's one of the first people I reached out to during the pandemic for some ideas on how to stay nimble. But yeah, you can't do Joe without doing the Joe voice.
No, well, and you got to throw some serious F-bombs and bad language in there too. So
right, I can't do Joe for long without throwing out some F-bombs and opinions. And that might not be mine; they're Joe's.
And fuck them to everybody else. Yes, that was very fun, and that was a long time ago. So we definitely need to find ways to engage you into the film industry that is on the local level that's looking to grow, because
I'd love to be a part of it. And it's, Sacramento's long been boiling up. It's been a hotbed of film activity, and it's about to just explode in all the right ways.
Yes. We hired our new film commissioner.
She's great.
She's amazing. I love her. She's my new best friend. Hey. And she is going to make some serious change happen. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be happier. We've been beating that drum for so long. Unfortunately, just as she got rolling, then COVID shut things down. So, but she's really working a lot of different angles that I think we'll all be really proud to be a part of. So
yeah, she listens and she gets it. You know, you're not just getting this Venkat nod. You know, the words aren't just going right through her. She doesn't get that glazed over, I don't understand what you're saying face. She gets it. She really gets it.
And if she's learning, she'll be honest and say that. I mean, I just love how hungry and passionate she is, and I really do feel like she's got our back, and it is so comforting, especially Lori. I know you've been such an advocate for our film community for so long, and just watching you know, just try to push and push and push to get somebody in that seat. It's just exciting to know it's finally happening. And, you know, COVID, oh well, but we at least know we can all be rest assured to know that she's got our back in our community.
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. And you guys are producing content. I mean, at one point I was kind of questioning. I'm going to ask my questions before you start talking, Sally. But,
okay. I got to shout out my friend and producing partner who couldn't be here tonight, Howard Bird. Like, rest in peace. He's just up the street, like 2 blocks. Howard Bird, I miss you, pal.
Howard,
I miss you, pal. Hold on.
That's not
Howard.
Yeah, there you
Howard. I miss you, buddy.
I did see
him. From God go I, thanks to you. And these are some inmates that I did time with, but we won't talk about it.
I did see both of you in Apparition. So, yeah.
All right. Those are the kids from Apparition. Here is proof in the pudding of how long it takes to produce a movie. Howard and I had started producing Apparition pre-production about 5 years ago. These kids, they're all like now in their 50s. Right now. And by the way, Sally cast a lot of the roles in Apparition, and especially these guys. So nice work there.
Thank you. They're amazing kids. Such a fun shoot.
My question, because my field was outside of producing, it was distribution until distribution completely turned on its ear. But at that point, when I was working for studio in that environment, the focus was to create your distribution plan before you even started shooting. And it seemed to me that you guys were into this major production mode of, you know, Apparition and Notorious Nick and BALLBUSTER, Fear Farm, and now Fear Farm 2 coming up. So literally, Mark, you've had your hands in 5 different movies, but it appeared that the pathway was to just produce as much and as often as you could without the objective of distribution. How did you guys approach distribution? And now, how has that changed even since then?
Howard had, I don't want to say luck because it was very calculated. Howard and Micah Sparks were very calculated in the way they rolled out 4 Minute Mile. And that movie did very well. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, Richard Jenkins is phenomenal in it. Kim Basinger's in it. Cam Giganti from Twilight. And it had a really good global distribution. And then right after that, they made Criminal Activities and did really well. And then Howard was able to resurrect a dying on the vine film, what proved to be Gary Marshall's last film, Mother's Day. It wasn't going to happen. And then Howard joined together, got it made. But that became a huge studio film. And Howard didn't like the way it came together. He saw a lack of production. In fact, the budget was greater, but the productivity was less, and the energy was going in all the wrong places. And so he never wanted to do that again. He partnered with another guy to make Notorious Nick, and they were going to do sort of a fan-based funding to at least get the seed started for that film. In the process of doing that, he brought me aboard, thankfully, as just a tiny little cog in that machine. And during that time, when I saw that it was going to take much longer to get Notorious Nick out of its pre-production phase, I said, Howard, I got to show you this castle. I showed Howard the castle. Howard said, we're making that movie, came up with a plan. Sally came aboard. We made Apparition. And then from there, very quickly, before we walked away from the set, in production on a film, another film was basically in pre-production, at least the genesis of that film. And that's now we're 6 films later.
That's insane. That is an incredible, and not to mention, let me just say, for any of you who live under a rock and don't know who Mark S. Allen is, usually he is by far the busiest person in the industry, and he travels and involves himself in so many things at one time. I don't know how you managed to fit this. And now you must be bored because you've got COVID and you're stuck at home and you're not doing all of the traveling that you were. No, the events that aren't there anymore. But, you know, that's been an incredible thing for you to take on your shoulders and do your day job at the same time.
You know, I thought COVID happened about the time we were going into serious post-production on all of the films. We were in pre-production on a film that was going to be a little bit further out, but we weren't ready to shoot it by any means right when COVID happened. So the lockdown didn't affect the productivity at all. My other stuff, like the syndicated movie show that I used to fly around for to get the interviews, I thought, well, this is going to go on ice for a while. Au contraire. The studio system very nimbly and quickly shifted gears. And so whereas I would have to fly to Budapest to talk to Angelina Jolie, no lie, just 2 hours ago, right where I'm sitting right here, I'm talking to Angelina Jolie in her home. I'm getting more of these interviews. The problem is they're spread around the clock. I'm working more than ever. I never get out of this room. It's like a jail cell, although I know it's not because I have some experience.
Somebody's realized the efficacy of keeping you in one place.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth because I was really going to say that when I was going to say my association with Mark is, I mean, it's an ongoing thing. I'm like, really seriously, how did you clone yourself? Please tell me. I really need to know, you know, because the man is everywhere all the time at different hours of the day. But what's amazing about Mark is that he is effective at everything he does. It didn't matter if it was 2 a.m.
Say that again.
You're effective at everything you do. And it didn't matter if you're at 2 a.m. in the morning on the set of Apparition, knowing you had to be on set and at your morning job at 3:30 in the morning, you were still sharp as a tack. And it just confirmed the fact that I thought you had cloned yourself. That
is not true at all. There are overnights on Apparition that like to have killed me. And if not for the likes of Sally Forcier and we had help from Kelly Benedict as well. If not for you guys in those long nights, I didn't know if I was coming or going. Like you literally helped me get my head on straight every night, pointed me in the right direction.
It was crazy, but I was just so impressed with you, Mark. Your work ethic is amazing. And you always had the warmth and smile on your face. And what I love is he is as hungry to learn as he is hungry to teach. And so, you know, he has grace and patience with everybody. And BALLBUSTER, I mean, you know, we went from working on Apparition together to later that year, Notorious Nick. And then the year after, BALLBUSTER. And it's been such a pleasure watching you evolve and grow into the producer that you are, and with grace and style. And so I'm honored to be here and be able to have this conversation with you and pick your brain a little bit more and let the world see how much more amazing this is underneath all these little onion layers here.
No, the feeling's mutual. And thanks for always having my back and our back. Anytime we call and say, Sally, where's the SAG paperwork for this? And Sally, what does this even mean? And you're able to pull up these documents that had long been, as far as I thought, shredded. You're able to pull up everything. And post-production is no joke. It's not fun. It's one of the most arduous parts of the industry. And deliverables. Once you really find out what deliverables are, you need a bunch of people to have your back, and you indeed do. I appreciate you.
But you need to know that before you go into filming, because if you're not prepared to capture deliverables or provide when you should have started early on, that can throw the whole production off.
It's like building a house knowing that you're going to need fiber optic and connectivity, but just going ahead, building the house, throwing all the sheetrock up, and then deciding you need all that stuff later. That's like thinking about deliverables at the tail end after you've wrapped.
Great example. Yeah. And I think it's just really smart about how, you know, Mark and Howard both realized who they needed to surround themselves by. You know, it's building the right team is just as important as having the right vision, having a great script, having a great cast. It literally, I know it's an old saying, but it does take a village, but it takes a village with the right people. And not necessarily just plopping anybody in there just because they say they can, you know what I mean? So I really appreciated the fact that we always operated from a place of quality as best as we could but the budgets that we had, you know. So each film was fun in itself. But it was great to kind of grow together and watch each film, get better and better. And Ballbuster, I think, was one of the funnest, if not funniest, casting and shoots I've ever been on.
Oh, the things in that movie, like you just can't unsee them. I wake up giggling in the middle of the night sometimes because of stuff that happened on that film.
Yeah.
I really should have finagled away on set. And it's always after the fact that I go, oh, that looked like it was so much fun. Well, and both of you, you had your established business, your established profession that you were both excelling at. And then you take on this crazy job of producer when in a lot of times you don't learn what a producer does until you do it. And then you learn what not to do. And you learn, so tell me a little bit about, for both of you, because Sally, was Apparition your first
feature?
Feature. Okay. And Mark, you're the same, right? So
the first feature I produced, thankfully, because of my job, I've been all over the world on sets of movies for years and soaked in a lot. And so I walked in cocky thinking I knew. Well, I didn't think I knew everything, for crying out loud, but I did go in thinking I had a general hand of what was going to be required of me, and then got on set to realize I don't know anything. I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but it was fun to see, like, oh, we got to do that. Oh yeah, we got to do that. it was kind of it was a great team because we evolved together really quickly. And I think that, again, gives credit back to putting the right people in the right positions. But,
right. And like Howard, I don't know if Howard had told you this, Sally, but he told me, he said, you're about to find out that if it was easy and that much fun, everybody would be doing it. And in fact, it was not that easy. And there are, frankly, nights, as much as you want to glamorize it and talk about what fun we had on the set, there's a lot of work.
Super stressful.
It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
I had produced, statewide game shows and other projects, but a feature is just a whole nother beast, and there's so many moving parts and pieces that at one given time, you're like, everything's important, but what's the most important thing that needs my attention? So it's literally about prioritizing and being able to juggle a lot at once and not forgetting the other stuff that's equally important, but just needs your attention a little bit later. So it's a bit daunting, but I think for those of us in this industry who are creative, and Mark certainly is, I've been, in the industry 25 years, but I've always loved the production side of it because you're along for the ride the whole time, not just in casting, which I love casting, don't get me wrong. And I've cast all three of the movies that I worked with Mark on, but it's definitely a more rewarding feeling of being, and communal feeling of being part of the everyday shoot and everyday production. So it was a lot of fun.
So what did you take away from what you learned in the first issues that you addressed with Apparition to now you're going on the third film? You finished the third film, but what did you bring with you from that very first thing that was like, I'm going to make sure I do this next time, or not do this next time?
Pre-pro.
Big aha moments from that?
Yeah, pre-production. And there are things that it took me 3 or 4 films to learn. You learn your tribe, and you learn people that are not only good at what they do, but also are like-minded and kind, and want to, and know that it's going to be long and hard, but know that attitude is everything. And they aim their attitude up. They walk in with that upward angle of attack on their attitude every day. And so you just try to bring those people along for the ride each and every time. I will say this, how when you're first driving as a student driver, how it's not enjoyable at all. And they call it, white knuckle driving because you're gripped and you're scared and everything's tense and you're not really enjoying it. And you're so glad when it's over. With each movie, that gets a little bit less and less, and you start to literally enjoy the ride a little bit more. So with each film, I enjoyed the process a little bit more, but you definitely know that when you agree to produce a movie or be on anything in a movie, on any department, just know that you're getting aboard, you're willingly getting aboard a ship that is full of holes, and you're going to sail it across this sea and that ship is going to be sinking the entire time. Doesn't mean it's going to sink, but you have to do everything within your power, and everybody on deck has to do everything within their power to keep that ship from sinking before it gets to the other side. And if you get to the other side, then that you needed to make that movie. I learned that.
I often equate it to entering a potentially bad marriage. Yeah, very much the same thing. Yeah.
Wait, and it's all, you just reminded me, it's also, isn't it, Sally, a little bit like being a wedding planner too? Because the best wedding planners I've ever known aren't the ones that are screaming and yelling all the time.
Right.
They're keeping everyone calm, saying, no, this is okay. Nothing is going to go right.
Right.
Most things are going to go wrong and not be exactly the way you want it. And it's how you spin it that makes it better.
That's absolutely true. And keeping everybody on the same task. Okay, we're making a movie here. I can't tell you how many times we would say that when people were just like, I got a little hairy, crazy, and it's like, hey, we're making a movie. Don't you forget that, you know? And then just walk off with a smile. Then I can go and pull my hair out around the corner, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Regardless of whatever you do, Sally, just having your attitude on set is like got to be a blessing. I mean,
I wish I could say every day it was a great attitude, but you know, I am human. But I did have a great team. Again, it comes down to surrounding yourself with a great team. Kathy Partak was always great about saying, hey, we're making movie history, man. You know, this is going to live on forever. So it just, you know, you need people around you that helps lift you up. And I know Mark has been there for me. I've been there for Mark. You know, Howard, he's been there for all of us in his own special way because he is a cheerleader when it comes to it. He just reminds us that there it is right there. I've got a pretty fun photo I wanted to show you guys. Oh, God, let me see if I can find it. Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Mark, you're going to love this.
Okay.
Let's see if I can figure this out, you guys. All right, I hit the share screen button. Share screen. Can you see? Oh, there we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. That's not the right one. How do I stop? Stop share screen.
It's not sharing on this end, so
okay, hold on.
Whatever.
Anyway, it was a fun little photo of us three crazy kids.
On Apparition, right?
No, this was even back before that. Hold on.
You, me, and Chris Holly?
No, it was
Howard.
You, me, Howard. It was a great photo, but don't even worry about it.
When was it taken? I'm dying.
It was at the I Heart Film Festival. It was right after I think we were planning Apparition, in fact.
Weren't we like a week away from shooting though?
I think we were.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, okay. I remember that event.
Application. Oh, I can't find it. Home tab. Oh, well, anyway, but yeah, I just love the fact that Howard and Mark are so great together. You know, Howard has such a get it done. You know, he uses a lot of, believe it or not, basketball analogy, football analogy. And what's special about BALLBUSTER is that a lot of these stories were actually coming from his real experiences. You know, he used to play on the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters. And so that's where the BALLBUSTER idea, all these scenes that are outrageous and crazy, and Mark, you'll attest to this, a lot of them are come from a really real situation and place. So that was part of the fun for me. I don't know about you, Mark, but just watching it come alive, because I know you helped Howard write the script and rewrite the script and perfect it. So tell me what that was like for you, Mark, hearing his stories, getting it onto paper, and then actually seeing it filmed to seeing it on screen. What was that like?
Howard's pretty persuasive. He doesn't take no, and he's a great coach, a great motivator. And when he wants to get something done, it's going to get done, and pretty much on that timeline. And I said, yeah, I don't think we're quite ready for BALLBUSTER. No, we're ready for BALLBUSTER. We're going to start writing it over the holidays. Well, over the holidays, Howard had a detached retina. So he had like a rough draft, maybe even a couple years old, of the very first notion of BALLBUSTER. And he was just taking bits and pieces of that and rewriting the entire script and creating the new script, pretty much blowing it all up, starting all over, face down, through one eye, on a yellow tablet with one hand. So he pretty much wrote the entire thing like this, laying
on a
table. And so after he got that manuscript done, I came over and he and I like it would be coherent and then just kind of you'd have no idea what it said. And he and I would look at that and workshop the lines. I would ask him, so how does this go? What do you want to say? We'd have to invent characters, take characters out. But I would say my favorite part of the process would be Howard just telling these stories from his life and me thinking that he was embellishing, BSing them up a little bit just for production value and to make the scene. And then I would be shooting the scene with the actors and Howard was there. And one of his buddies from LA would come up and go, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened. It was actually a little bit more than that. I don't want to plot spoil, but like some of the scenes that are outlandish in the movie are actually toned down versions of stuff that really happened.
Wow. What's the rating? Did you have how many minutes? Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's funny is that it tricks you. It plods along like a Nickelodeon comedy for about 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, boom, inappropriate. And then it goes back into a safe lane for a little bit, and then boom, inappropriate.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay.
I think you guys are being honored that night, if I remember correctly.
Howard, no, that was the night Howard was getting the award.
That's right. And that's why we're pointing at him. That's guy.
Right. That guy.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, these guys are a blast to work with. They move very fast and but yet have grace and understanding. You know, I feel like I was really put in a position to just flourish. And even though, you know, there was stress completely on all films, there's always stress. There is also grace. And I think that's really important for the filmmakers out there, that they understand that, you know, not everybody's at the experience level of you or thinks the same way. It's kind of like if you're going to a certain page on a website, the three of us might go there, but go there different. We got there in a different path. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think, you know, what Mark said is very true, is having that graciousness and kindness and everybody bringing a positive attitude that, you know, yeah, we have these issues, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to get it done. And that really is, I think, one of the things that I took away from it and was really proud of all of us for accomplishing.
I agree. Good team, good family.
What I think is really fascinating too is that you guys have written everything that you've shot so far, right, Mark?
Yeah, we have. With Apparition, we had an original draft written by a really great guy, Rob Rose, who wrote Stretch, the movie you were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. He had come on recommendation from Joe. We brought him up. We toured the castle. He wrote a draft of Apparition. And then a few weeks before, we decided to put a hook in it, because the original Apparition, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's based on a true story of the Preston School of Industry, and very faithfully so. It's like almost orthodox tale by tale of things that really happened, bad things that happen in there. But then we put a spin on it and brought it into some millennial realm, where a millennial creates an app. And this app is almost like a portal, like a Ouija board built into your phone that guides you via pinpoint on a map to unfinished business. So we needed that part in there, just a hook and make it a little bit more modern. So we blew up the script and rewrote that. Howard and I enjoyed the process so much that we pretty much just moved forward with all the other movies pretty much the same way. Notorious Nick being the exception. Notorious Nick was written by the guys who wrote 21 Cloverfield Lane, and just brilliant writers. And it's a great script as it is.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give an update on that one? Do you have anything?
Yes, it's beautiful. It is so magnificent. And it took the longest because it's 388 plus visual effects shot. It's the true story of Nick Newell, who won an MMA World Championship, despite the fact that he was born with a congenital amputation of one arm. We got Cody Christian from Pretty Little Liars on NBC, or right now on CW's The American, to play Nick. And he does a great job, but he has two arms. So shot the entire thing with a green sleeve and some motion tracking dots on it. But regardless of the dots, you have to painstakingly paint most of that by hand away. Mm-hmm. If not the arm, whatever's overlaid in the foreground. And it took a while. That's going to be a much longer talk whenever Notorious Nick's coming out, but it had a lot of hurdles, including a visual effects shop that not only shut down, but stole the money. And we had to start all over again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will tell you, I've seen it and I loved it. And that was not even a finished version of it. So I'm really, really excited. And that to take on that kind of, oh my God, the detail and the creative force that has to be behind making that kind of a movie, that goes well above and beyond just your typical narrative. So I'm just, when you think you got it figured out, you take on something that, holy crap, had to have been like
Right.
going to school all over again, because that's a completely different scenario.
And it's one of those movies where most movies are going to be pretty much what you end up with on the day. It's going to give you a really good idea of what the movie is. With Notorious Nick, I've never seen a movie that the layer of sound design blows your mind and you go, oh my gosh, wow, look how much bigger the movie feels now. And then the layer of visual effects, obviously, you go, oh my, now you really disappear into the story. You're not distracted. And that happened with every layer, from score all the way to color timing. Every layer on this film just made it seem that much more epic. And I cry every time. Every time that movie comes to its climactic halt.
Made me cry. Yeah, made me cry.
Cody brings it, man. He was such a great talent, and I mean, amazing to work with. This guy, I mean, I've never experienced this myself, but when this guy, we were shooting at a junior high school, and of course, he's got millions of followers on social media. So we kind of we did our research. We knew he was, you know, had his following. It was like the Beatles. It was crazy. But you know what he did? He was like, he saw the kids. We were up, it was a kind of a hill, and he saw them lining up, and he's like, looked over at me, says, Sally, you ready for this? I'm like, what? And he comes around the corner, and it was like the Beatles. Remember that day, Mark? And they were just like, I think you did a Facebook Live post on that day with him. It was pretty epic.
And he's so humble about it too.
Humble.
He gets it. He's aware it's happening. He doesn't know why, and he's very humble about it. But yeah, it's very much there. And his social media, his digital footprint at that time was about 1/10 of what it is now, and he already had millions then. Yeah, we're very fortunate to have that guy. Everybody in that cast. Kevin Pollak, who was in Apparition, we called him and said, hey, we got a little something for you. Will you do it? He hopped over without even flinching. Yeah. But Barry Livingston, yeah. For you, for Google it, kids. There was a sitcom called My Three Sons, and the youngest son on My Three Sons is Nick's trainer now, his coach, and it's just remarkable. The relationship between those two. It's like Burgess Meredith and Rocky.
Yeah, I think the casting was going so fast, and I know we're getting off track on this film. We want to get back to Ballbuster, but it went so fast. It was crazy. Some people never met until they walked on set, and the chemistry amongst them all was beautiful. So
yeah, we got when that happens, we got to get maybe Howard definitely and his producing partner Mark DeSalle, get them started.
Definitely
talking about that.
Ballbuster was the same. I mean, Ballbuster carried it's a really over the top comedy, and it carried a lot of strong actors, a lot of strong comedians. We had Bobby Slayton. This is the pit bull of comedy. We had Lunell. I had no idea how famous she was until I was driving down in North Highlands, taking her to the store, and people were stopping us at the store, and then Panera Bread. And she was as gracious. Somebody was so excited they toppled over a table and made a huge mess in Panera Bread. I mean, it was crazy. But
can I tell you about Lunell's first day on set, which was first day of shooting for Ballbuster? I just pulled a picture. This just reminded me of it. I don't know if you can see this picture, but it's in this multi-million-dollar mansion in Loomis. And it's going to be the NBA player's house that Jerry O'Connell plays. So Jerry's got his back to you. This is a table read. Everybody knows Chris Hawley over there. Can you tell me about this guy? You cast this guy.
Yep. Tyler Dash was an amazing baller. He could spin the ball like this. He can throw it around his head. I mean, he does all the tricks of basketball.
I think he was. Didn't he jump in as a Washington General at some times? He had Washington General.
Tom Hines had worked with him before, our director.
So
there's Marty.
Lunell shows up on set. Now, keep in mind, Jerry had just gotten there, and Jerry showed up on set and went straight back into a guest bedroom and shut the door. And we thought, there's nothing wrong with that. But now we know he's going to be one of those guys. Well, of course, he's Jerry O'Connell. He's married to Rebecca Romaine. What time does he have to spend with all of us? Well, shortly after Lunell got on the set, Jerry wandered out, sat down on the sofa, and I'm really going to have to tone this down because I don't know if you're recording this or where this is going to go, but essentially, Janelle said, in not so many words, Jerry O'Connell, everybody wants to know How are you, a guy like you, hooking up with Rebecca Romaine? How did that happen? Everybody's dying. Chris Hawley spit his gum literally like a projectile. He could have broken a window out in the china closet. We were all on the floor. And we thought, oh no, this guy that was just moments ago was secluded in the bedroom. We've lost him now. He ended up opening up, telling the entire story about how he wooed her, talked about their family, their kids, intimate details of this and that. And it changed the flavor forever. Not that he wasn't going to be that guy forever, but that's one of the values of Linnell. There was never a dull moment, and
That's so funny.
never ice that needed to be broken.
We laughed the entire time. I mean, this woman, she had so much energy, and we keep going and going. The Energizer Bunny. I mean, she kept just spitting out jokes all day and hours on set. She still would have it going, man. She was amazing to work with.
This bus, the team bus, she had to drive the team bus, and I had to teach her how to drive the team bus. And she did remarkably well. One of the funniest scenes in BALLBUSTER where she's pretending to drive the bus, she's actually driving the bus. And it was one of the last times the bus actually ran on its own power.
That's a whole nother story.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God. Well, we had Chris Hawley and Dennis Glasgow on last week, 2 weeks ago. Okay, those boys can talk. Can I just say?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
We had on our website, we have an archive of all the webcasts that we've done. And, most everybody kind of goes hour and a half. There's kind of a natural, area where we just tend to slow it down. We had them online for 2 hours, and it could have gone on for another 2 hours. So they're a hoot.
Well, Chris works at the Capitol. So he's seen filibustering before. So he knows how to turn it on and keep it going. And keep it going.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's
with lots of information too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And both he and Dennis and you and Sally and a lot of the people that we're bringing on these are the people that are the film champions in our region that are trying to create something better than what we have. So I love giving you that forum because I think the city needs to know, we are well equipped with some really dedicated people that can really make things happen. What did you find in the crews that you worked with? Because I think on every movie, other than the two of you, I knew several of the crew members, and I heard really good stories of, the environment, of, what it was like to work in that, with that crew and in that environment. So you definitely, when the crew is sharing good stories, you're doing something right. And I heard a lot of that.
On BALLBUSTER, we had a hybrid of people from LA and some staff from the Northern California area as well. All I saw every day was hustle. Everybody knew that this was a movie where no one could sit still for any moment. If you were sitting still, no matter who you are or what department you're in, if you're sitting still, something's being neglected. And Sally, would you say of all the movies you and I have done together, there was more crossover, more people helping people out of department than any other movie?
Absolutely. It was a team player environment, 100%. And when you have that, so much more gets done. I mean, we had to have that on Apparition. It was such a much lower budget than Notorious Nick and BALLBUSTER. But even still, it carried itself through to the other films to where if something needed to get done, nobody batted an eye. And I think that brought us kind of this peace of mind that we can accomplish anything together. We still had probably about 35 people in the crew, but on a set this large, when you're shuttling talent to and from, and you've got a huge cast like we did, 42 people, I believe, we cast principal roles in BALLBUSTER. Wow. It was outrageous. And when you have that many people and then several, cast members at one time, you've got to get everybody on set. You got to take them to lunch. You got to make sure everybody's in their place. There's a lot of coverage. So you're spread thin for sure. So yeah. Great teamwork atmosphere for sure.
The stories that I loved and that I heard from your sets, from your crew is, and I hear it from other crew that are working in Sacramento and that come here for the first time and get to work with some of the resources and the people that we have here, is the best stories that I hear are the ones where they go, oh my God, that was the best environment. I will come back here anytime. this is a great place to shoot a movie, you know, so that kind of affirmation that, you know, we're building something that really matches the needs that everybody has is something that makes me really proud. So I loved hearing
and
that.
as you know, I am very passionate about our film community here in Sacramento, and it's been so nice to see so many of them get hired onto these 3 films that Mark's done. And I think, you know, everybody admires Mark, you know, for everything you do and how much you are here for us to support us as much as possible. You know, if I have anything I think that needs some love on air, I could just make a phone call to him and he would say, hey, here's what I would do. He's completely
Dude, he connected you to Oprah. Are you kidding me?
He connected me to Oprah.
I know. I remember.
That was amazing.
Whatever it takes.
That's when I fell in love with
that
her.
every day, but on that one day, it happened to time out pretty well.
She would have married you after that.
Dude, I mean, she's my idol. I love that woman. She's been my inspiration and in my ear so many times. I told Mark the story later that, you know, here he is. He gets these opportunities to interview so many celebrities. Well, it was for the film that she did with Mindy Kaling and Reese Witherspoon. Remind me of the name.
The Wrinkle in Time.
Yes. And he's like, anybody have a question out there? Sally, do you have a question? And I'm like, yeah, I want to talk to Oprah, you know? And then I told him, I said, you know, I used to work at the lottery and I wanted to get back to what I love and I wanted to produce. And I said, you know, she was in my ear every time I went on a walk and I was unhappy at my job and I had to find courage. She reminded me what it's about to follow your dreams and your passion.
There you go. And look at you now.
So it was cool. And now I'm living my dream. And thank you to Mark and Howard for allowing me to be a part of their movie magic. So,
well, and you, because again, when we talk about the sinking ship, there were many nights on Apparition and less on Ballbuster where, you know, the holes had to be patched in the middle of the night or that ship was going down and there was no one there to do it, but you and me and the wee hour of the night crew.
Well, that's the sign of a good producer is not how well you do your job. It's how well you can fix whatever happens, you know, that you don't expect. And that's truly the task at hand.
I have a question for you, Mark. At what point, you know, many people don't know this about you. You are one of the co-founders of the Critics' Choice Awards. And remember when I asked you that story, I'm like, I know you're part of that, but how? It was a great story. So you've been in the industry on, like you mentioned earlier, on so many sets. At what point did you go, I want to produce? And how long from that point till the day you stepped foot on Apparition?
Well, when I was a little kid, anybody old enough in this room to remember Disney's Sunday night movie when every Sunday night Disney had a movie, an original movie? Sometimes it was Dumbo or something we all knew, but then they also threw on some originals even then. And they had a movie about a family that went on a vacation to a beach community somewhere. And the dad had an 8mm camera and the kid said, Dad, could we make a movie while we're here? And the dad said, sure, kids. And they took the camera and they made a movie. And I'm 6 years old at the time. And that's the first time it dawned on me, wait a minute, people can make movies? And so I used my dad's camera and started doing stop-go animation when I was in elementary school. And told my mom, I'm moving to California. I'm going to become a filmmaker. And then, you know, I'm in Odessa, Texas. There's not a thriving film community, certainly not then in Odessa, Texas. So you might as well be saying you're going to build a spaceship and go to Mars. But I fell into radio and ended up becoming a broadcaster. And then as quickly as possible, parlayed that towards the movie industry. I mean, not that many years later, I was doing a full-time movie show talking about movies. 25,000 hours of just talking about movies and movie stars and movie sets and movie releases. And so it's definitely something that's always been on my mind and something I've wanted to do. I just, like a lot of people, thought that time had passed me. I was no longer in LA. The chances of it happening were nil. When it happened for Joe, I was just so thrilled for him and happy for him. And I didn't want to like ride on his coattails or beg him, hey, will you take my script? Will you look at this? You can ask Joe. We have spent so many hours together.
Like everybody, yeah.
Just as friends doing stuff. Joe will tell you that in 22 years of friendship, I've never once asked him for anything industry-wise. I mean, maybe I'll ask him to come on the shows from time to time to talk about his movies, but I've never said, hey, could you hook me up with an interview with so-and-so, or here, could you read this script, or my friend's got a script. I was just so happy for his career, and I didn't want to be that guy. And so I didn't. But then, you know, when I went through my thing about 5 years ago, I had to have a lifestyle change and decide that alcohol probably shouldn't be around me, or rather, I shouldn't be consuming alcohol, and just change my life a little bit. It all of a sudden just started opening up. Joe called and said, buddy, now that you're no longer sucking on the teat of CBS, are you ready to make movies instead of talk about them? And then same week, Howard called and said, hey, would you meet me for coffee at Starbucks? I want to tell you what I'm doing. And told me about Notorious Nick and was kind enough to offer me a tiny little part of that. And that's how it all happened. Then the rest was just kind of falling forward.
Did you know Howard before that, or did you meet him?
Yeah, Howard had been an account executive early on Good Day, way back in the day, in the formation, back when it was just called The Morning Show.
Oh my God.
So I used to see him, and I used to have this, my office was up in a loft area that you had to kind of traverse these stairs to get to. Howard's one of the only guys that would take the staircase up to say hi to me from time to time. And he'd just come up there, and you know Howard loves to talk, and he's great at it. And he's so conversational. He would just go over there and plop over there. Hey, Mark, what are you doing? What are you up to? And he would chat with me kind of like the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, leaning into the window every day. And it was always the highlight of my day. So I always had affinity for him, always thought he was a great guy and fun to be around. And then he left to become a big digital sales agent for the broadcasting industry. I think for Comcast, I could be wrong. But did really well and pretty much cashed out and was kind of on his road to retiring or second career. And he knocked on my door and said, guess what? I'm going to start making movies. I'm like, oh, are you? Good luck with that. Lo and behold, a year into it, he had pretty much taught himself the ropes, everything he needed to know. And he came in at the right time. The industry was changing. He changed with it. He adapted and got those movies made.
That's awesome.
So the biggest issue that most filmmakers have lie in two areas that you've obviously accomplished, and that is in funding and financing and distribution. So when Howard came into the plan to make the movies, it seems like he had a pretty established system of financing or funding that allowed him to do that. I mean, he wasn't reinventing that wheel every picture, was he?
No, and I think, and I don't want to speak for Howard or put words into his mouth, but what I could say, the snapshot of it is that he had to hustle a bit to make his first movie, like everyone does, made a bigger movie, and then his third movie was a big studio film, and I think that left such a bad taste in his mouth about wasted money and not having the money truly going on the screen. I mean, Mother's Day was a $25 million movie, but you can't look at that movie, exception being Jennifer Aniston and Julia Roberts, extract them from it. You can't look at the pixels, the images on the screen and say, it's $25 million better looking than Ballbuster. I mean, it doesn't take that to make a great movie. And I think Howard realized there's a better way to make movies and put the money on the screen.
Are you committed to making them here, or are you just making them here because that's where you are right now? What kind of plans are incorporated into what you're doing and how it fits into this region? Or is that even an issue? Is that
I mean, I love it up here, so I have no real reason to leave. And if the world becomes what it used to be, I'll likely, a third of my life is in LA anyway. So, I mean, it's easy to jump back and forth for the things you need to do down there. I think post-pandemic, you're going to see less of a need to be there. I think you'll be making movies wherever you want to make movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think the big mystique of the 30-mile zone is going to be obliterated by the pandemic. And I think you'll just be able to make a movie wherever you want to make a movie with the same ease. Yeah. So I would love to make it here. I think I can't imagine having to leave Sacramento to make a movie. There are so many different locales, so many different eras that can be duplicated like that, so many different regions that can be represented right here. Yeah. Whether it's East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, you can shoot that all within an hour, a tank of gas of Sacramento.
It's not only the locations, but all the hunger too, the welcome you get about shooting locally. You get, community steps up and people are willing to, to have you shoot at either their home or their business, and just for, getting to be involved. I mean, it's so well celebrated and appreciated in Sacramento. And that's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of back up and and talk about, you mentioned this little show that you do, but let's give yourselves a little bit more attention than that, because you are 7 Emmys on Extra Butter. Is that correct?
Oh, we didn't even state his credits. Oh my God. Yeah.
See, Lori, you're just taking over,
Just giving
girl.
away.
This is a fun little photo. Okay, so so here's Mr. Extra Butter, 7-time Emmy, and this man gets on camera on our projects. Every film we've done, he's been showing a little cameo. This is a picture of him on BALLBUSTER at, I believe, the Monk basketball game. I'm just going to say that. I don't think that gives anything away. And of course, he's like, you know, the announcer, and just nails it. In fact, I think there's one of the trailers that you're in recently that was posted in that scene, correct?
Yeah, and the thing about it, like, I did not mind doing the other part I did in BALLBUSTER that we'll talk about later, maybe.
Yeah,
but that particular day,
I wasn't going to say it, but
that was just supposed to be a voiceover that day. I didn't want to be on camera. In fact, like, the producer and me, I had stuff to do. I mean, that was one of those days where water was coming in. I had stuff to do. And Tommy said, yeah, I said, Tommy, you know, we wrote this. This is just a voiceover track. It's just the announcer voice. You don't have to see me. No, just go sit over there. Go sit over there. So I sat down. They got their master. Well, I'm such an idiot. I should have known. If I'm there for the master, I've got to be there in every shot. So a 10-hour day, I'm stuck in that chair trying to get stuff done.
Note to self, people, whoever's directing who wants to have a cameo. And this happened, by the way, on Apparition with Kelly, who's my right-hand girl. She was one of the, I think she was the UPM on that one. And she was able to play Kevin Pollak's wife, remember, in the diner scene or the wedding rehearsal scene. And I'm like, wait, what? You're taking Kelly? I need Kelly. Like, you know, there's so much. When you guys have to understand, when you say action, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes is still going, right? We're still doing all these things. So when Mark's pulled away, Kelly's pulled away, we're all scrambling because he has so much to do. You're absolutely right.
One time she used that to her advantage. Kelly saw what happened with the wedding scene, that took her away for a little while. Towards the end of the shoot, she needed a little bit of a break. So she volunteered. There's a scene in Apparition. I'm not plot spoiling now. It's been out for a while, where the mom comes back from the grave at the very end and her hand comes up out of the grave. Kelly volunteered to be buried for that. And we had to check on her about every 30 minutes. Are you still breathing? Yeah. And we said, are you still alive? Are you still breathing down there? And she said, I'm taking a nap. So she's got like a 3-hour nap because we buried her in the middle of the night.
You literally buried her for that scene?
Yep.
Full buried.
And keep in mind, this is on the property of the most haunted castle in California, right? The Preston Castle. It's on the property in the middle of the night. What would you say, about 3 to 5 a.m., something like that? Because I remember Grayson had to catch he was waiting for his ride to go catch an airplane out at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Something crazy. So,
I just had lunch with that guy. He told me to tell you hello, Sally.
Oh, Grayson. He's so sweet. You guys remember?
You got Grayson Russell, who plays Sam, the guy that creates the app in the movie, is Tom Hanks' right-hand man in the new movie that just came out on Apple TV+. If you've seen Greyhound, that just got released 2 weeks ago, he's Tom Hanks' sidekick.
Amazing.
Oh.
I'm so proud of him. But you got to tell him where he got his start. Do you remember? It was...
on Talladega Nights. He was Will Ferrell's son. If you've ever seen Will Ferrell's sons, Walker and Texas Ranger, he was Texas Ranger.
Oh, wow.
What's up on Mountain Dew, Daddy?
And what did he say to Pop Pop?
You say it.
I can't remember. You're the impressioner guy. I can't do that. But
I just had it. But the problem is I've been saying it wrong for like 10 years. And then Grayson just corrected me and I popped the Blu-ray in. Yep, I had it wrong for 10 years.
He's adorable. You guys will love Apparition, so you can get that on Prime, Apple, pretty much.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. And it's amazing. Lori, you watched it and you don't like horror. Did you manage to get through it?
I did. And, I am not a horror fan. And it's really, I've had to train myself to be able to watch a horror movie from the appreciation of the filmmaking as opposed to, how bad it's going to scare the shit out of me.
Right.
So speaking of that, Mark, you have now done, out of all 5 films, 3 of them are horror, correct?
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah. So we did Fear Farm, which, by the way, Fear Farm is the smallest, the most modest budget of all of the movies. But without a doubt, it's every bit as good as any of the other movies. It's its own kind of little vibe, and it was experimental. We didn't know if we would even be able to make a movie that could get distribution for that amount of money, and it's awesome. It opens, by the way, it releases September the 15th.
Oh, that's my birthday. Thank you.
Hey, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday. And not just a rental. I'm going to buy it for you.
Come back here. Come back here and we'll share it.
So, yeah, so Fear Farm is awesome. And we knew before we wrapped that it had to be a sequel. Had we been able to coax the crew for another 5 days, we were going to roll right into a sequel. But we ended up bringing them back less than a year later to shoot a sequel. We did a suspense thriller that's like if Jordan Peele and M. Night Shyamalan and Alfred Hitchcock all got together and made a movie, it would be this movie, 616. It's a suspense thriller.
That's a good
wow.
Right,
so
Eric Roberts, Julia Roberts' brother, and Emma Roberts' dad.
Oh, yeah.
He's really
Is
great.
your intent to continue to write your own content, or are you looking for scripts or concepts or ideas from other people?
Always looking for stuff from other people. I mean, if it's there, it's there, but also not afraid, not shy to write our own thing if we've got to turn it on a dime. Mm-hmm. If we realize there's a rewrite that has to be made, we know that we can put the pedal to the metal and turn that rather quickly. Mm-hmm. And with no offense to people who write for a living, a lot of times, if you end up enlisting a writer in LA, they might be working on several other projects. And if you need a rewrite, you may have asked yourself for another 6 months inadvertently. Whereas if you're writing your own and you need to do a rewrite, you can turn a page a day if you had to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, one of the things that we do through the CFAA, we have a screenwriters lab that meets every month. They're on Zoom now. But what we would do in the past, we did it physically. We haven't done it remotely, but we did table reads. So any content that you have that you want to have eyes on it, sharing it, getting feedback, then let me know. We're happy to support anybody who's needing to hear some review of their work other than just their mom or their wife telling them what
for sure.
They did. So
Howard and one of his former producing partners, a guy named Wayne Rice, who also worked with him on Mother's Day and some others, we had talked about doing a just kind of a collective, I don't want to say Shark Tank, but essentially just trying together some screenplays and see who wants and make one of those movies.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
I love that idea. And I think, honestly, the first thing that people need to know, and this is where I think, Mark's been in the public eye for so long, but people need to know how to pitch themselves, how to pitch their projects, how to pitch their services. So I think that's one of the first things that we've actually talked about, putting together some type of a workshop on pitching that could lead into some type of a true, let's select it and make it.
Yeah.
We're bringing everything.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I was just joking on a Milky Way in case you guys wondered where I went for a second.
You were joking on it.
Joking on a Milky Way.
You
I
probably
brought enough for everybody. Snickers, Milky Way. Anybody need anything?
So let's talk about some of the funniest moments that you recall on filming BALLBUSTER. You share with me your favorite story, Mark, and I'll share mine.
Jerry O'Connell. By the way, there's Dante Yori. We have to give him some props. Dante faithfully brings a crew up from LA. Sometimes that crew is going to be 10, sometimes it's 20, but Dante always rounds them up, brings them up. And as much as he's an LA filmmaker, and as much as he wants to go, I don't want to go out there and do Sacramento anymore. I'm going to get Sacramento again. He's fallen in love with the town. I know he loves coming up here making movies with us. He wouldn't keep beating himself up like this if he didn't enjoy it. But there's Dante, and there's the aforementioned Sally Forcier.
Hello. Hi, Sally.
A couple of my favorite moments. One of them involves you, Sally. Jerry O'Connell proved to be a saint, like I said. An early story about Jerry O'Connell, we got a call from an agent, and the agent said, I got to send you something about Jerry's trailer. I need a glass of water. I haven't talked. I've been talking nonstop since 2 a.m. And we got this paperwork, an email about this trailer that's very detailed. Granite countertops, 2 sinks, 5 push-outs, 5th wheel. And we said, we got to have a phone call. Can we please have a phone call? So we had a phone call about the trailer, and we said, you don't understand. Isn't that kind of movie. We don't have that kind of budget for that kind of trailer. And the agent said, no, Jerry's just offering to give you his for the run of the shoot. That's his own trailer if you want it. He said, yeah, no, we won't need it.
Nicest guy.
He ended up driving himself up. He ended up being a saint every day on the set.
Yep.
And said yes to everything until that one day we said, oh, by the way, we forgot to ask you, when your character is naked, suspended above the Golden One Center, do you mind doing that shot? And he said, yeah, I'm not doing that. Get somebody. So I get Sally. Sally, could you go in the stands and ask somebody if they would butt double Jerry?
Sure.
Tell them who you got. Do you remember?
I do. I got John Wayne, our good buddy. We love
a guy
John.
named John Wayne. How great is that? Jerry O'Connell stunt double played by John Wayne.
John is amazing. He's like a local legend as well in Sacramento. We love John.
John is awesome, a great sport. My only problem with him, I thought, with no offense to Jerry O'Connell, John's glutes are probably a little bit tighter than Jerry's have been since the Reagan administration.
Yeah, what's weird is, all the extras. This is inside. By the way, we were one of the first, if not the first, film to be shot there at the Golden One Center. And so this is inside with all the extras. And we're like, oh, and by the way, everybody, if you have a problem with us shooting this scene, tell us now. So that was definitely
kind of warning people about nudity.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes, that is definitely top of the books for me, is first of all, I remember we were trying to cast this role, and it was for Jerry O'Connell's father. And I remember this clearly, and it does involve you too, Mark, because we were talking about, this is while we were already filming. We had somebody in place for this character and this role, and we had to replace him for whatever reason. And Mark comes up, calm, cool, and collected. So yeah, we need to replace so-and-so. And what do you think about this guy? And he shows me this photo, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? He's shooting in 2 days. You remember this? And then you're like, oh yeah, Mark DiCarlo. He's a great guy. In fact, I got a picture of him. Reggie's going to show it for us. He was the most easiest, funniest, greatest guy to work with on the set. This is Mark. And this is Elizabeth Rom, who plays Jerry's wife in BALLBUSTER. She's so sweet. Also, her second movie with us. She was also in Notorious Nick, playing Nick Newell's mom. But Mark was a yes man, go-to, great guy. He has a funny Facebook page called Boffo the Bear, BOFFO.
Have you been watching that?
Yeah, I love it. It's
amazing. In real time. It's real-time animation. So it's Mark essentially sitting in front of a camera, but it's sped through a process server that in real time animates him into this bear character, and he hosts his own Facebook show as a big bear.
It's really a fun show.
And he totally
has engaging guests and things like that. So that was really kind of cool, just to show like how we work together. And I didn't flip out. Mark didn't flip out. We just, okay, let's get this done. And, I'm, doing double duty at that time, trying to get his deal memo, but I'm on set as well. And it was crazy. But I think my favorite scene was, we had the amazing Brian Crawl in this movie, and he plays one of the mascots. And he talk about, again, a team player. He had this really active scene with Jerry O'Connell. And there he is. There he is. He is the hot dog mascot. And he actually owns and runs the comedy spot here in Sacramento, downtown. I want to say Midtown-ish.
Yeah, 20th and J.
Yeah. 20th and J. And he was so amazing to work with. I've known him for years. Mark's known him for years, but it goes to show you one of the beautiful things about Sacramento is, Mark and I obviously have known each other for 20 something years. Wow. By the way, I have a little story on that. But yet all the people he knows, all the people I know, it felt like this movie brought a lot of our groups together, and and not only in crew, but also in cast, and getting to know Brian more was just such a joy. But
Brian's got a great story to tell. When he shot his scene, Jerry O'Connell plays this entitled NBA player that's at his own daughter's high school basketball game. And there's a brat picking on his daughter. And so this guy decides to take it upon himself to swat the ball out of her hand, ends up hitting what starts his whole downfall as he hits the mascot in the face and knocks him out flat. So Brian's talking about how they had a stunt coordinator there, laying out a mat, every take, rushing up to make sure the little girl that fell down beside him was okay. And Brian said, meanwhile, I hit the ball flat on my ass, 30 takes onto a hardwood floor. No one ever asked if I was okay. No one ever said, oh, would you like a mat? Just assumed you had a padded hot dogs.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to have Reggie.
What kind of budget do you think we have to have 2 mats?
Right.
That's hilarious.
I got another photo coming of that exact moment if you want to show that, Mark.
By the way, all joking aside, we're a very safe set.
Of course. In fact, we learned a lot on Notorious Nick because we had stunts in almost every scene for the first 8 days.
Tough. Yeah.
Right.
And stunt fighters. And, these are guys coming up from LA, and it was crazy. So, yeah, it's been a huge learning curve on working with stunts. That's a whole, by the way, if you're a filmmaker out there watching this, make sure you have a budget if you're going to do stunts. And you can do it. Yeah,
time to prep and time to ice down, because in a fight movie, if someone's not getting hurt, you probably didn't commit, because there's some fighting that's really happening, even in simulated fights.
Mark, do you remember when I first met you? Putting you on the spot here.
I do, but I'm just hoping it's not when I think it was. Otherwise, there might be photographic evidence that I don't.
Everybody get your minds out of the gutter. But Mark, you were in bed. Do you remember?
What? I know where this is going, and this is the photographic evidence I was hoping.
It's not the photograph, but it is the first movie I produced.
Oh my God, I remember this.
Right there, the pitch.
Wow.
With Owen Thomas, right there. I got the poster.
That, it was a short film done for the ad association, but it was so well done. It was such a good little film.
Great. I mean, Mark was so funny. He had to play a female, and I had never met him before, but we knew of each other, I think, at that point. But we're talking 19 years ago, something like that.
Easily.
And I remember when you asked me to do that, I thought, oh yeah, sure, gags. I'll throw on a dress and slap on some lipstick and be silly, because I kept thinking, like, again, dated reference lost on a younger generation, but like when Bugs Bunny would transform for a gag in a scene into a woman, I thought, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Oh no, they had a team of some of the best drag and female impersonator transformation artists doing this. They had pins. They were doing things to me I dare not repeat to make me play this part. It was commitment, way more commitment than I wanted.
It was awesome. And boy, you did. You brought your A game. And I think that was the beginning of your acting career. He has been in all 3 movies, at least, that I've worked on with you. But yeah.
I'm proud of our.
Do you like to be in front of the camera?
BALLBUSTER.
Sorry.
That's Brian right before he takes the aforementioned smack.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So
I need a picture of the guy in the hot dog costume. I've got a running joke with somebody that involves a hot dog cart, and I want to tell him that I've secured a mascot for his hot dog cart. Inside joke, but totally funny. So yeah, send that to me. And
don't forget, BALLBUSTER. We thought it was going to be on the 4th. I was just repeating what we were told.
There it is, Mark. There it is. There's Brian Kroll of the Comedy Spot.
Oh my God.
So amazing. And while we're talking about the Comedy Spot, we knew that we needed some people to elevate some of these pages that weren't fully fleshed out, where we just said, insert joke here. There was places where they needed to bump that up. And we went to the Comedy Spot and had auditions, and at least 3 people not only came out of those auditions, but also we wrote scenes specifically around them. There's a yoga scene in the movie specifically around someone that was workshopping something for us. Brian crushed it. Chris Emery, one of his lead performers at the Comedy Spot, is great in this and invented all kinds of comedy that was not in the script.
And that's called improv. There he is.
Wow. Yeah.
That was epic. Watching, we end up having a stunt in that particular spot right there where we had to take I don't know if we want to mention his name, but somebody who is well associated with the Kings, we'll just say that. And we put him on a stunt, what do you call that, where they bring it all the way up to the top. It was like probably, 100 feet in the air, Mark? What do you think?
I think, yeah.
And so he went. So if anybody's been, here's how I can quantify how high he went. If anybody's been in the Golden One Arena at a Sacramento Kings game, the Jumbotron, he went up past that. That's how, I mean, he's just dangling there in the air. It was crazy and epic. And I mean, I was sitting there my heart was going like nuts. I was feeling anxiety for the poor guy, and he was just hanging out there. You know? So
shots to give you perspective, because I actually rigging that just to show you how high up he really was.
That's nuts.
If I can get this to play, does it mess up your video when this is actually playing? Does it eat up a lot of the bandwidth?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think we're having a little bit of a hiccup, but not too bad.
Only when Mark talks.
It's nuts.
Oh, yeah. You can actually.
One of the first and probably the only major feature film to be shot in the Golden One Center.
I do have video of that.
That's what I think is the coolest aspect of that, is being able to shoot there, and what an experience in that location. How cool.
And again, mad love to the city of Sacramento. You know, we have a film commissioner now who's going to make that kind of thing routine, but this was definitely the dawn of it.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah. I don't know if she's on. Usually she's on. She comes on and pokes her face in periodically.
Any questions from anybody over there?
You know, we actually, Rick Keebler wanted us to know that his wife trained the dog in the pitch.
Oh, that's right. That's when I first met them. Oh my gosh, we love Rick Keebler. He's our boy.
He is amazing. He's a great filmmaker too. I would love to hear that guy tell some stories.
He's on our board. Both he and Aaron Leong are on our board of directors. So I only want the people that I know we can trust. So Steve Orsino, who's actually one of our board members.
Both of them. Aaron, love that guy.
With the advent of COVID-19 and newly released movies being forced to stream, do you think this opens the streaming door for more independent filmmakers, or does it shut it down?
I think it opens.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
Absolutely opens. I think now more than ever, it's had a really interesting cosmic push both directions. I think now more than ever, we appreciate the theatrical experience. Even those who said, we don't need it. We can get a movie this way or this way. Now more than ever, we're going, oh no, we've got to have that theatrical experience back.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's opened the minds of the studios that, yeah, we don't have to have the theatrical experience. We can make our movies available more closely to. And I was just signed with AMC and Universal. It's going to be in the future.
Wow. So when you have distribution for, like, you now have it for Apparition, you are getting it for BALLBUSTER. What does that encompass? Is that a multi-pronged approach? I mean, obviously COVID has shut down theatrical, but even prior to that, did your distribution plan include theatrical, or was it only for streaming? What kind of a deal did you get, I guess?
You broke up a little bit, but I think I understand what you were saying.
Oh, sorry.
Let me get this. What I found, if I have this on video, it tends to freeze what I'm seeing from you guys. With BALLBUSTER, it was going to open theatrically, probably not super wide, but it was going to be on hundreds of screens, but not 1,000 to 3,000. And it was going to open for probably a month and then go straight to streaming right after that. With Apparition, we had a 10-city release, and then 2 weeks later 10-city release, and then day and date went to digital. It was a smaller release. BALLBUSTER would have been a little bit bigger, and with Fear Farm, we were probably going to do just a 10-city push just to get the theatrical. What you find is that if you have any kind of theatrical distribution, even if it's 10 screens for a week, it ups your game on the digital platform. The placement you get, you're going to be higher up on the pages, higher up in the boxes or the tiles, as they call it, in the digital distribution realm. And so we were going to have some kind of hybrid, but probably smaller. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen BALLBUSTER on a few big screens, but I knew when the pandemic hit, just the timeline of when it was going to roll out, it was going to be exclusively streaming.
Interesting. Hold on. Were you involved? This is Steve's question again. Could you expound on how you got your films onto online platforms, the difficulty cost? Were you involved in that part of?
Yeah. And that's the catch, because there's so many different ways that you can go about doing it, and not all distributors are the same for certain, but at the same time, most of the sales agents and distributors out there are all more similar than different. You have two ways of doing it. You can hire an independent agent who will go out and pitch the top four, your Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, and get it on your basic carriers, and they're going to take a fee. Or you can get a sales agent to really take it out and start working on the studios to see if you want to be underwritten by one of the bigger studios, like Sony or Universal. In our case, we went with Indican for BALLBUSTER because they wanted a package deal. Our foot in the door was actually Fear Farm. They loved Fear Farm, and they said, "What else do you have?" And I said, "We're about to finish up BALLBUSTER." And so Howard and I had a meeting. They saw them both, took them both, said, "We're going to open them differently, but we definitely want them both." And with that, it was just a great package deal. We liked what they were saying. And they're the ones that get it on all of the platforms. Their distribution partner is Lionsgate, so they have more people asking them, so they don't have to knock on as many doors. They don't have to force the way in, and it usually ends up being better for the filmmakers and the investors.
I think there's a lot of distributors that are kind of changing their path and what they do and what they offer, and so many filmmakers can self-produce and self-release in a lot of different ways that if it's the right, picture at the right time, you never know what's going to catch fire. But
right. What if you're a film producer, but you also have someone that's on your team, or maybe even you have like millions of followers on YouTube or some other social media platform? Why would you pay someone to put it on Apple TV, Amazon, Hulu, Vudu, DirecTV, Dish Network, all of the other carriers, when in fact you could just drop that movie on Vimeo and have your person social media push the link to that and probably have just as many eyes on screens.
Right.
So the world is definitely changing there, and I think the studios are starting to realize that, and they're probably terrified.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting, definitely what you said about the theatrical, what we've known all along is theatrical is really an advertising vehicle, and it's right up there with movies. Theaters exist for concessions.
Right. And it's more for bragging rights than anything, because when you see a movie that's on 3,000 screens, that alone cost $100 million just for the P&A, just for the prints and advertising to justify that many seats. And that's a huge gamble. Are you going to get that back? You don't really know if you're going to get the cost of making the movie plus that $100 million back. You're probably not. Statistically.
No, you're probably not. And you're building a recognition, which the cool thing about what you guys are doing is, you're not going to attract all the audience with a film like Apparition. But you're going to attract another completely different audience with BALLBUSTER. You're putting yourself out there so that you can really gauge what's the most effective and how you work with that kind of content. It's not like every movie is the same. So literally the path of each one is going to be different. And to me, that's fascinating.
You have to market your distribution, tailor it to the movie.
Yeah. Can we show you have an extended trailer, Sally?
I sure do. Let me try again.
Let's try and figure that out. Okay.
What you got?
I got the extended trailer for the ABS game. Here we go. Let's give
Exclusive.
it a shot.
It's an exclusive, everybody.
Hold on. Has lost permission. Follow these steps. Oh, it's sending me somewhere else. You know what, Lori? I sent it to you as well in case I had problems. It's given me some error message.
Do we have a clip?
Yeah.
All that beautiful bean footage.
Do you need to set it up?
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can actually share the screen because
I have a clip. How did you send it to me, Sally?
I will send it to Reggie. I sent it via email.
Yeah, do that, and then he can.
Okay.
Reggie's our behind-the-scenes engineer.
Reggie
pushes all the buttons and makes us look good. So
Reggie's amazing.
See, we're really professional, Mark. You don't even have an engineer.
You guys are doing great.
And then while we're doing and waiting for this, Mark, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you in the front row.
Me, pick me.
What the hell is going on with my hair? Looks like I just baked top ramen on it.
Marcus Allen, I have a question.
Yes.
Marcus Allen, what's up? What's coming up next for you, sir?
Right now, we're post-production on all these other films. We have Fear Farm on September the 15th, and then Notorious Nick will probably be released not long after that. First quarter of next year, 616 Wilford Lane.
Wonderful.
Fear Farm 2 on the other side of that.
Any plans for any new productions? And I know COVID's a little limiting, but as productions are starting to come back and people are starting to go forward with all the safe forward rules and the industry white paper guidelines, do you guys see starting production anytime in the next 6 months or so?
Howard and I were in pre-production on a movie that we're really excited about right before COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, we realized, we might as well just focus all of our energy on finishing the other films since we're in the home stretch.
And isn't there something to say about that? Because you and I were having this conversation offline about how difficult it is to be moving forward into production, but also still trying to wrap up your post because it is very time consuming.
Oh, yeah. So in that way, if a blessing at all, it was. And then we started going back to how are we going to get this other movie made? Do we tone it down? Do we rewrite scenes to allow for social distancing? And that was just maddening because the tides were and will continue to change for COVID every moment of every day. So trying to plan for that is just maddening. Yeah. Even if you have all the resources in the world, a Tyler Perry Studios or a Universal Pictures, it's still maddening. I was talking to Dion about this, and it's just it's gut wrenching to try to even weather those storms right now. So we're just going to wait until the world opens up again. Start making movies again then.
Yeah, I remember when we were just about to go into production on BALLBUSTER, we were still casting. And I remember we were talking about apparition deliverables. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is not the time. But that's what you do. If you have so many irons in the fire, you have to give yourself the time to get through post to some degree, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Mark, set this up. This is all
right. So it's an entitled NBA player, Rich Johnson, who has to tour with the charity league and play all of these games. And if he does this for 6 weeks, he might be allowed back into the NBA. In this one case, he ends up playing the Abs, and he thought, oh, the Abs, they're probably all very fit. They have nice tight cores. No, it's the Adult Baby Society. And in fact, there are adult baby societies of these men that are into fetish. This happens to be a fetish group that also enjoys playing basketball. And they try to do everything they can to interrupt the free throw, like you often do in a basketball game. And I think that's what's about to go down.
And by the way, the one in the middle right there, that's Mitch Mack. That's on Jerry's team.
He is brilliant. And that's Brad Lang. Brad Lang is literally a rock star. He's the guitarist for Rat, for crying out loud.
He played in YNT and Rat. Yep.
He's amazing.
All that Geico film exposure, commercial exposure now. Was it Geico? I don't even know who it is.
In fact, later in the movie, when you guys see it next week, August 11th, tune into Video on Demand near you. Watch for the house. We want to talk about Charlie Holiday before we wrap up because Charlie is very special to a lot of us here. But Brad Lang opened his home to shoot there in the scenes that you see Brad and all the exotic animals. So watch for that. Let's watch this trailer for the ABS team. Sacramento.
All right, Rich, let's keep in mind that this is for charity, man. All right, so we got to let them score some points and we got to let them win. We can't have them walking around here crying.
It's the weirdest pep talk I've ever heard. Are you kidding me? Gentlemen, you are the best of the best of the best. Are you kidding me? This is insane. I thought we were playing a real basketball game. I thought we were playing the abs. You know, athletes with six packs. This looks like a friggin' playground.
No, we are playing against the abs, but it's the adult baby society.
Yeah, you can't unsee some parts of this movie.
You've seen that part way too many times. I could tell already.
It burns.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I gotta tell you, thank you, Mark, for allowing me to cast these films, especially BALLBUSTER. I had such a blast. The big gentleman so Chris, the one that was doing the popping, that was a friend of Mark's from LA.
He's a great director of photography. He actually flew in from Vegas for that day.
That's right. That's right. And then the other gentleman, Chris McKnight, 6'4", 300 pounds, was all about, put my hair in ponytails. I'll put a diaper on. They were all about, I recruited him from, you wouldn't believe the people that fell in my lap just at the gas stations, at a nightclub, at a restaurant. And I recruited him and got him in this movie. 7 was one of them.
Yeah. The teams the basketball teams you assembled, I had forgotten how many people we had speaking and featured in this movie, and we owe you a lot, Sally. You're a saint. Thank you for all you do.
It was so much fun. It really was. But I do want to tell a story about Charlie Holiday before we wrap up tonight, because Charlie was a legend here in Sacramento and really helped a lot of actors pursue and follow their dreams, find freedom in improv. And he was a huge loss to our community. Last October, he passed away. And it was an honor to have him as our SAG rep. In fact, he called me and asked if he can bring his students to the set. And this is when we're at Golden One. If you remember, he brought about 10 actors to just be able to be on set and shadow us and watch. And it was awesome. And Howard and him got to talking, and I think you did too. And you both came to me and said, we got to make a part for this guy. We got to put him in our movie. And he was just elated. And nobody knew it was going to be his very last feature to be in a film. But I'm so honored to have had him on set. He was always such a joy, and he was just glowing.
TJ.
He loved getting all spruced up on all that hair he had. I remember he goes, oh yeah, he's got to do all my hair.
He was just a saint, like in real life to students. Like there's a guy who loved giving it away as much as giving it. And I'm going to miss him. And I'm so thankful that we honor him. There's a nice write-up at the end of the movie in the end credits in memory of Charlie. And that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie too. He's just so, there he is.
There he is right there. So that's at Brad's house, Brad Ling's house. And this tortoise is probably 150 pounds, something like that? And
bigger than Charlie.
That's a big guy.
He could have taken his hand off, and he's down there. He was tortoise wrangling in that scene.
I'm trying to figure out how all of this goes together. I cannot wait to see.
Yeah, there's a movie in there somewhere.
There's a movie in there.
August the 11th.
And you know what, Lori? You have
everywhere but everywhere but Netflix, right?
It's everywhere but Netflix and Quibi. It's Netflix, Quibi, and the little TV at the gas pump. That's the only place you can't see this movie.
Excellent, excellent.
Everywhere else.
You'd have to cut it into 10-minute increments to get it on Quibi, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's right. Sally, you're a saint. I can't tell you how great it is to see you, and it just brings back so many good memories of being on set with you, and I can't wait till we do it again.
Me too, buddy. I miss you so much, and Lori,
You too.
thank you so much for having us. This has been a blast.
Lori,
I
thanks
wanna
for
have a
all that you
minute.
do. It's one of the
One
greatest
second.
organizations the film industry has ever had, and we're so lucky to have it in our own backyard.
Amen. You're
That
awesome,
makes my
bro.
heart warm, Mark. Thank you so much for
I'm going to bed. I got to be up in 2 hours.
Okay, hold on one second. I got my photographer somewhere here, and we're all going to look at the camera and smile so she can take a picture.
Okay.
And 3, 2.
Wait, hold it, wait.
What is he
Get
doing?
your ass over here. Oh,
Oh, I love it. Yes.
nice. Da da da. Okay, Elizabeth, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mark.
He's so present.
I tried really hard, Mark, to get a bunny costume because I thought that was something that you were into, and I couldn't find one, but I'm sharing my weird bunny.
I wanted to act like my screen was frozen.
You
Yeah,
got
no,
me. Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
No.
Is he frozen or is he? Oh my gosh. I think
What's
he's-
with the bunny?
Remember what you did with Mike Betancourt?
Oh, yes. I'm still having nightmares from that. Thanks. I
I
got to
thought I
go to
should-
bed now with that.
I
Thanks.
thought I should introduce a weird bunny just to, stay on the same.
Sally, Mike Betancourt, who has a great vlog and video podcast, has a serial killer bunny movie. And I sat through part of the treatment on that. And I'm still disturbed a little bit.
And then in your interview, didn't he put on the bunny costume?
Yeah, he put on the bunny costume. I think he's still like in my garage right now. That's how far. He took it too far, Lori. He took it too far.
Too much.
All right.
Okay,
Love you
so
guys.
Love you. Thank you
Let's
for your
put our
time.
heads together and make this a better place to make movies. That's what we're all
Everybody-
committed to.
Keep the film community going, guys.
Yeah, love you both, and thank you so much for giving us the time. We'll definitely send you a link of this so you can see what we actually said and the comments that we've had a lot of comments coming in. So thank you
Ballbuster
again.
is September the 11th now. Remember, September 11th. And
September?
it is a hard R. If you're offended by anything in the movie, just go ahead and write me. Address all your questions, comments, concerns. My name is Howard Bird. Look me up.
All right.
Minute-
August 11th. Next week.
August
guys.
11th, exactly.
Peace out.
August
Good night,
11th.
Mark.
Bye, you guys. Love you.
Bye, guys.